Information session presented by the Social Sciences Academic Resource Centers. My name is Santiago Flores, and I'm a peer consultant at SARC. And today we have a very special guest, Yuen May, Editor-in-Chief of the Scribe, who will be sharing more information about this community and how to get involved. If you have any questions, we highly recommend you submit them through the Zoom Q&A feature, which is at the bottom of your screen. We will be addressing all the questions we can at the end. And without further ado, Yuen, please continue.
All right, thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Yuen Mai. So I am the editor-in-chief of the Scribe. And Tian, would you also like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello everyone. Thanks for coming. I'm Tian Lam, and I'm the co-editor-in-chief for Scribe.
And then we also have Mara.
Hi everyone, my name is Mara Shapiro. I'm a fourth year anthropology major and medical humanities minor, and I'm managing editor for the Scribe this year.
Awesome, and I don't see is Rachel here? Rachel is also here, and she's one of the photography session editors for the Scribe. So we're all on the editorial staff for the Scribe. So we manage the publication, we host events throughout the school year, and we work together to recruit pieces and edit them and release them to the UCI public. All right, so just to get started, what is the Scribe? Mari, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, so the Scribe is an undergraduate medical humanities publication that is housed or a part of Healing Through Humanities, which is a UCI medical humanities club that most of the board of the Scribe is a part of as well. The Scribe is a creative space for the UCI student body and community at large to discuss their experiences within health and medicine, whether that is as a patient, as a student, as a healthcare professional, or even as a caregiver for somebody. I think the Scribe is a great space. We're very welcoming of all sorts of different types of patient narratives. And the Scribe takes most of its inspiration from the growing field of narrative medicine, which we'll explain in a slide or two. So the medical humanities, for those of you who aren't aware, is a very interesting kind of up and coming interdisciplinary field of study. Straight from the UCI Medical Humanities Initiative website, they say that medical humanities is the interdisciplinary, humanistic, and cultural study of illness, health, and healthcare, as well as the body. In contrast to the medical sciences, the medical humanities, which includes bioethics, narrative medicine, the history of medicine, cultural studies, science and technology studies, medical anthropology, philosophy, dance, music, literature, and film, as well as visual and performing arts, focuses more on meaning rather than making a measurement. So these are things that the Scribe embodies as part of being a medical humanities associated publication. So the field of narrative medicine, which is also a part of the medical humanities, the way narrative medicine is a medical approach that utilizes people's narratives in clinical practice, research, and education as a way to promote healing. The Scribe empowers patients and those who have had firsthand experience with healthcare, illness, and healing, as well as suffering and pain, to share their experiences in a thoughtful and meaningful way. And the Scribe is a welcoming platform for you to share your own narrative in whatever medium most resonates with you, whether that's poetry, narratives, short story form, photography, art. We're accepting some spoken word pieces this year for some of our events that we have planned. So the Scribe is really a very opening community and a very easy way for you to get involved with sharing your experience, whether you've done it a billion times or this is your first time. And it all revolves around this field of narrative medicine and the medical humanities.
Yeah, thanks, Mara. So like she said, we are currently accepting submissions to the Scribe. So one thing I wanted to point out is when anyone is looking to submit, the Scribe currently has a theme for the 2020 to 21 academic year, and it's resilience and or COVID-19. So when you're submitting these works, we're kind of looking for, so let's just go through the types of works first. So here's listed personal experiences, reflections, commentary, but the list that's kind of like the general overview on our website are poems, photographs, works of art such as paintings, drawings, and narratives. So when we're looking for works from any UCI student, we're kind of looking at this theme of how have you or anyone else experienced resilience in the past year, or how has COVID been affecting your life? So that's kind of what we wanted to and capture in this year's submission cycle. So that's our theme. And so I've included here a little short video where I'm actually on the Scribe website. And as you can see, I'm just scrolling through here. Currently, we are looking at the page for narratives. So this is what we currently have. As you can see, there's so many works, and we can't wait to get even more works. Right. And here, this is another video showing our last symposium. So this was held in the 2018 and 2019 submission cycle. And as you can see, when this was in person, we had all these big panels and we printed everyone's works on these little nice presentation cards. And then, yeah, we had so many visitors and everyone had a great time learning and just reading all these works. You know, we had so many poems, photographs, and like narratives. It was a fantastic experience. So for this year, it will be online, but we're hoping to capture that same experience for you guys.
All right, well, thank you, Tian and Mara, for explaining the Scribe and also the works that we're recruiting for this year. So here I'm listing out some opportunities for UCI students and the UCI community to get involved. We accept works from students, graduate students, undergrads, faculty, pretty much anyone from the UCI community, because everyone has a story to share and we want to hear it. So for this fall quarter, not listed on the slide, we do currently have a submission cycle, which the deadline is this Saturday, November 21st at midnight. And so if students are interested, they will be entering into arts competition. So they have the opportunity to win $100 Amazon gift card and also have the opportunity to present their works in both our physical and online publication and also at our symposium and future events being held this year. So winter quarters, so after the first submission cycle, we're going to be holding an open mic event. The date is to be announced, but the details will all be put up on our website. Will be open to all UCI students, so not just students who have submitted works to the Scribe, but also anyone else who's interested, especially from other journals. It's supposed to be a collaborative event. And if, let's say, if someone here is interested in submitting their piece, but maybe 1 week, the deadline is this upcoming weekend, well, there is another second submission cycle, and we are holding a second arts competition where we're giving out 4 prizes. So if students are interested, they can also submit their pieces during winter quarter. Around the end of winter quarter, beginning of spring quarter will be the deadline for the second submission cycle. And then all of the works that we've accumulated throughout the year, especially those who are touching upon the theme of resilience, will have the opportunity to present at our Narrative Medicine Symposium, which is scheduled for May 15th from 5 to 7 p.m. So there we'll be having guest speakers, physicians from the UCI community who are also involved in the medical humanities and can talk about how the medical humanities is incorporated into their work, and also give the opportunity for students to present their works through both like a Q&A event, a discussion panel, as well as a virtual exhibition. And lastly, we want to print and distribute a physical edition of the Scribe. So everyone who is going to be a part of our submission cycle this year will also be given a copy, a physical copy for themselves. I'm not sure if Rachel is one of the panelists here. By any chance, can she speak?
Yes, I am here.
Oh, awesome. Okay, Rachel, would you like to go ahead and kind of tell your experience? So Rachel, as we've mentioned, is one of the photography section editors, but she also was a photographer who submitted pieces to the Scribe. So she's here to kind of tell her story about how she found out about the Scribe and her work currently.
Yeah, thank you, Yuan. So as Yuan mentioned, I previously submitted photography to the Scribe, and it was a very good experience. I definitely feel like the Scribe is very unique among other publications on campus. There isn't really anything like the Scribe, so I was naturally very intrigued by their submission theme, um, and it was just a very enriching experience to be able to see all the previous works on their website and see the inspirational stories that people create out of all these different artistic mediums. And I wanted to make my photography something related to COVID, and thankfully enough, it was selected. And everyone on the Scribe is very kind and very welcoming, and it's just a really great place to share your story and get involved. So I would highly encourage that you check out the Scribe right away.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. So that's pretty much it for our presentation. If you have any questions, you can find us on social media. You can send us an email, especially if you're interested in submitting a piece. All the pieces that we featured so far are on the website at thescribe@uci.com. Submission info is also there. So as a reminder, we are holding our first submission cycle. It's open until this weekend, November 21st. So if you're interested in submitting a piece, maybe one that you've already written, then you can check out our submission info page on our website. Right, and I guess I will hand the mic over to the SARC team. Thank you so much for the Q&A session.
So thank you so much for that presentation. We just wanted to ask you guys if you guys minded answering a couple questions. We have some pre-submitted questions we can ask, but we also encourage everyone watching to leave any questions you have in the chat or the Q&A. So if you have any questions, just leave them and we'll have a chance to answer them. Our first question is, how do you balance your work in the medical field while continuing to chase after your passions and interests in the arts and writing?
I can take a stab at this question given some of my personal experiences and future and academic goals and aspirations. I think this also fits really well, and with again plugging how awesome the Scribe is and how awesome the medical humanities is as a discipline, especially the community that we have here at UCI. I came into college wanting to go into medicine, but I've always been a lover of reading and writing and the humanities and the social sciences as well. And I actually came in as a biology major, but within my second quarter ended up switching to being an anthropology major, and I've been loving every second of it. My honors thesis research is on chronic illness health communities, something that the medical humanities and narrative medicine looks at as well. And I recently decided, instead of pursuing graduate education in anthropology, that I was going to attend a post-bac program and a post-bac pre-med program so that I could go on to medical school. And now my career aspirations lie within both disciplines. I'm looking to get an MD, PhD, and with my PhD in medical anthropology, so I can kind of create, a career path and a future that has both of these things. So in terms of long-term, there are plenty of options and plenty of ways to have a career and have an, education plan that follows both paths. It just takes a little bit more finesse and research and working out details, and maybe it's going to take you a little bit longer to get to that end goal. But I think it's totally possible. And what I learned most throughout my time at UCI is that life and education is really enriching, period, but even more so when you're able to combine many interests in one. So I've had great luck pursuing anthropology as well as pre-med and one-day medicine. So I definitely advise the person that asked this question to, shoot for the stars, go for it. You can do many things. And, I think the Scribe, a lot of us on the Scribe are people like me as well. We're interested in science and medicine and pursuing a future in healthcare, but we're also very passionate about the humanities and the social sciences, especially in the medical humanities. So I think the Scribe is a really great organization, and Healing Through Humanities, our parent club, is a really great organization and club as well that helps foster those interests, those overlapping, but so crucially, vitally important interests in the medicine and the humanities.
Thank you so much. This is kind of my own personal question about narrative medicine. So I enjoyed the presentation, but I just wanted to clarify something. So if I understand this right, the point of narrative medicine is so people can feel more connected to the medical field, because I feel like it's easy to read a medical report and just get lost in the numbers. Like, that's my own personal issue, it's easy to get lost in numbers and, you view it as an abstract concept. But what I understand is that this is a way for people to view this on a more personal level and how it affects individuals. Is that right? Or am I misunderstanding?
Yeah, that's a great question, and thank you for bringing it up. So basically, narrative medicine is just what you said. It's really focusing on the individual stories within the health community, because sometimes medicine can be such a result-oriented process that we forget about what it's really about, the individuals that we're trying to help, right? Let's say, I think the most important part of narrative medicine is really bringing the spotlight onto patient stories and their individual experiences, because they all have such unique, health experiences. And the Scribe, that was how we kind of started out, is we want to provide a platform for people, especially with health experiences, to be able to share their stories. And so narrative medicine offers just that, is to really understand like all the different and diverse individual experiences, and to understand how the health community works together as a whole. And so there's a lot of really great resources out there. There's the Center for Medical Humanities, which offers a lot of lectures and courses on the medical humanities. It's really more about learning about, like what different people go through, and really strengthening, I guess, the patient-physician relationship. So kind of like Mara mentioned earlier on, a lot of us, it's an undergraduate-run medical humanities publication. So a lot of us are pre-med, not all, but for me, for example, I'm also planning on into medicine, and the medical humanities and narrative medicine offers a really great way for me to kind of expand beyond my own view. For example, let's say I've been privileged enough to never have had to be heavily hospitalized or, go through an illness. And so narrative medicine is a really important way of us trying to be able to understand each other and understand patient experiences, especially from my personal perspective.
Thank you. So again, we highly encourage everyone to ask any questions you have in the comments or the Q&A. There's just one more question from me, sorry, I'm very nosy. So what I understood from what you said is the whole point of narrative medicine is to build more of a dialogue between physicians and their patients. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. And kind of contrary to what Yuen said, in terms of how she feels like it's very helpful for her as being kind of on the outside of the patient experience and using this field and this medium to help her, connect with some of these patient experiences. I've been living with chronic illness for 7 years and have, boatloads of experiences. I could write, 17,000 textbooks about my experience. And I'm so passionate about the medical humanities and what we do at the Scribe, because not only has it allowed me an outlet to share some of my stories and to help contextualize it within this interdisciplinary field, but it's also allowed me, especially as an editor, to be welcomed into other people's narratives and other people's stories, and to be able to give other people like myself, also students, also people passionate about various fields of study, but to give those people as well an outlet to share their story in whatever medium or whatever capacity, I think has been really powerful. So there's a lot to us at the Scribe, but hopefully everybody listening and watching and people that want to get involved will. I think there's a lot for everybody. And yeah, this field of narrative medicine is really interesting. It's growing rapidly as people are realizing that, there's a lack of empathy with our physicians, and patients are getting unhappy with the care they're receiving. And one of the ways that, medicine as a whole is trying to combat that is by introducing, narrative medicine and more empathy-based, trainings and experiences, and what we're doing with the Scribe, and kind of helps fix that and helps kind of set the stage for more of that's happening kind of at these upper levels of medical practice. So
I actually have a
That was great.
question. Hey, Santiago, I have a question. So besides writings and photography, what other mediums of artwork have students submitted maybe in the past, or what are you open to in terms of artwork?
So of course, like we accept works of all mediums. It's just that traditionally we've always had visual art, photography, narratives, and poems. Actually, this year we had quite a few authors kind of get in touch with us and ask if they could submit spoken word pieces. So perhaps maybe when we publish it, it'll be a written form, more like a poem. But I think that's a really creative medium too. Since we're going to be holding the open mic event and also the narrative symposium at the end of the year, I think it's a really great way for people to kind of exhibit alternate works rather than just visual art and poetry and narratives.
Thank you so much. I'll go ahead and pass it back to Santiago.
Sorry, tongue tied. So I understood you guys are trying to bridge the gap between physicians and patients, empathy-wise. I just wanted to ask, and obviously it's a really last-minute question, but have you guys ever experienced something where, because of art or something someone submitted, someone says, "Hey, I didn't think about it like that." Do you guys have moments like that often where people really see something from a new perspective and it opens their eyes?
Yeah, so one of our club advisors, Dr. Johanna Shapiro from the UCS School of Medicine, she's really involved in the medical humanities at that medical school. And a piece she wrote about 20 years ago, it's titled, How is a Patient Like a Poem? And when I read it, I was like, whoa, I had no idea, right? So basically the premise of her writing was how in each way, each patient is so different and they express their diseased state and their suffering in different ways, right? And as the doctor, you kind of have to gracefully navigate and help them through that time, kind of like a poem is. It's very intricate, it's phrased in certain ways. Similarly, a patient, they can choose to express their suffering and the way they are as a patient in their own way. So I don't know, it's very, very abstract, but I guess my point is it really moved me because, like you said, Santiago, like we don't just want to see people as statistics on a piece of paper. Kind of a phrase I like to use is you look at the person behind the clipboard, right? They're not just graphs and charts. They're human beings who can like have feelings and emotions. So I guess in that way, a patient is kind of like a poem in that there's a lot of meaning and importance in that person, right? And it's different for everyone because not every poem is the same. So I forgot the original question. I'm just rambling now. So yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, I guess on that same note, I've also read a piece. It was a narrative about an elderly man who was dealing with a lot of chronic health illnesses, especially in his older age. And it was really difficult for him to even move. Like he was kind of confined to a wheelchair most of the time. And what I thought was interesting is he talked about it was really frustrating for him to kind of be, I guess, kind of be run through the medical process to keep on being diagnosed and not knowing what the diagnosis really is, and then being put on so many different medications, and having all those medications, I guess, counteract each other. Sometimes they wouldn't work so well, and it was taking a toll on his health. So it really made me empathize with what are healthcare providers putting their patients through. They completely understand the process and how painful it can be. And it was interesting because I also learned about how he actually decided to, at the clinic that he was at, he decided to get acupuncture, and that out of all things actually addressed a lot of his health issues. So I think it's really interesting about how all of these different narratives bring in a lot of different perspectives and a really personal experience from each person that we hear their story about.
That sounds great. I love that you guys are really focused on hearing everyone's perspectives and, helping people feel or bridging the gap between patients and physicians. That's really important. So we don't have any more questions in the Q&A. Should we end it right here with the questions? Or?
Yep, that sounds good.
Okay. So I just wanted to thank you guys for joining us today, and a special thanks to Ewan and everyone else at the Scribe. The Social Sciences Academic Resource Center is available to support any academic and professional endeavors students may have. So we highly encourage everyone to schedule an appointment with us. And for more information, just visit the link that I'll put in the chat. Do you guys have anything you want to say before we end this? Or?
I just want to say thank you again for inviting us and allowing us to share our experiences. If anyone has any questions about the Scribe, you can check out our website at thescribe@uci.com. I believe the webinar should also be uploaded online, right? So I think students can access this later on, but does anyone else have anything to share? All right, well, thank you so much. And it was a really great time being able to kind of, I guess, share our experiences with the medical humanities and what we do at the Scribe. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.